today.
What's Chase's status, Sean?
You know, I really don't know. He didn't practice yesterday. You know, I think it's really his call. You know, discomfort, pain, and what he can tolerate, how much better it's getting. I do think he's making progress, but, you know, I don't know what that means, whether he doesn't play against ASU and is able to play next week against the Washingtons or beyond.
How difficult is it to prepare for him not being in after months of having him in for a long time?
Well, you know, when a key player gets injured, and I'll go to the Oregon State game, I've seen it many, many times, both when it happens against you, but also when it happens to your own team, that, you know, it's kind of a right now situation, and guys can rally and do the best that they can, kind of rise to the challenge. And I really think that happened when Chase went down early in the game against Oregon State. Bigger picture is when the other team now knows that he's not going to be playing, and you start to look at the different roles that everybody really has from start to finish, it affects a lot of different things, you know, not just him being there or not being there, but everybody kind of has a different role, different seat on the bus, different expectations. You know, when you get ready to sub, you move to a different player than you otherwise would have. So it definitely it affects the whole. But, you know, we're not the only team that is going through injuries or an injury to a key player, and it's up to us to respond and do the best we can.
When you lose 5 starters off last year's team, 3 who are in the NBA, and then lose out a couple other guys that you thought were going to be in your squad, did you have to either lower your expectations or change the way you coach this year's team?
Yes and no. I think at the beginning of April, you know, we really didn't have a team. You know, we lost our entire recruiting class, and we really fought hard to get Brandon Williams here. You know, just for a second, think if he wasn't a part of this year's team, you know, what it would have looked like from start to finish. Thank goodness, you know, he came back to us, and, you know, right now he's, I would say, really a bright, a shining light on our team. You know, his performance right now is probably the one performance that he continues to grow and get better. And even this weekend, I know against USC he didn't make a lot of shots, but I thought he played really well. And then against UCLA, he put it all together. So, so I would start right there. We were fortunate to field the guys that we had, and you know, I think I've said this a lot in the off season, is you know, the recruiting class that DeAndre was a part of. He did his part, and then he left. And, you know, Emmanuel Acott, Brandon Randolph, Alex Barcelo, Ira Lee, that group of guys, you see it all the time when they're here as a young player, freshman. Sometimes they're at the mercy of the team they're on, and maybe they don't have as big of a role as they would have liked. But that following year, you know, they get a bigger opportunity, and they have a bigger role, and they improve, and they embrace it. And so much of our team's success this year to this point and moving forward is the performance of that group, you know, that we can keep their confidence up, that they grow and improve and learn from their bigger opportunity. And because of our circumstances, you know, that's the group that we're really calling on more now than maybe we otherwise would have, for sure. But, you know, I think to answer your question, you know, completely, you know, we try as a coaching staff to coach these guys the best we can. There's sometimes, you know, what's in the cards and what isn't. But I think the expectations of Arizona are always going to be extremely high, and we owe that to everybody to meet those.
Just as a follow-up, if you don't mind, you do have the #1 recruiting class coming in next year. Do you see that then, whatever you want to call it, turnaround happening pretty quickly given what you have coming in next year?
You know, I think so. You know, we're not there yet, but I'm excited about that group for sure. I also don't think that that group will just end there. You know, I think being able to add one more player this spring, if not more than one, whoever that could be. It could be a transfer that's not able to play but able to practice, kind of what Chase Jeter did a year ago. Could be a grad transfer who's eligible right away, or junior college player, international, even a high school player. But we clearly understand, you know, in a year from one to the next at Arizona, usually we've had a class of 5. And I think that number will only increase as more transfers around the nation are happening.
One more thing sorry. One more thing on Chase. I was just wondering, is that a pain tolerance thing then with him, or is there a chance if he plays, is the concern that it could get worse again, or could he have more spasms, like that kind of situation? Or
I really can't answer that other than we're going to do what's best for Chase, and whenever he has the opportunity to practice or play, then we'll take that next step.
What was the mood at practice yesterday?
We had a good practice. The mood's not happy-go-lucky. We got blown out twice in L.A. Nobody knows that more than us, and things aren't good, right now. So, it's up to us to fix those things and improve and be ready to go. Our effort is something we can control, and our preparation, the details of the things that we want to do in a game, we could control that. When a guy shoots a shot, can't control that. And so I think, for us, it's a little bit of both, but yesterday went really well from our team's perspective. Guys competed hard, and we had a good practice.
At what point do you start wondering, or if you do, about the psychology of the sport, where it might get into their head that you have to keep them up and make sure everything's going to be okay and stuff like that?
Yeah, no, I think it's already in their head to some degree. And we're trying to be the most positive coaching staff and team that we can be, and also at the same time realistic. One thing about a player, they appreciate the truth, and the truth is if you've missed 15 of your last 18 shots, that's a tough pill to swallow. Doesn't mean you're going to make the next 5. You can miss, the next 8, 10. So we have that going around right now, and I think the one thing is to really work on it, making sure we're taking good shots, being able to play through misses. There's more to the game than just shooting the ball. But I think the toll that it takes on a group when you're constantly coming off of a missed shot, it puts a lot of pressure on your defense, puts a lot of pressure on guys to keep pushing and playing with great effort. It's nice sometimes when the ball can go in, that's encouraging. That allows you to feel good about the effort you now have to put forth on defense.
You talked about the toll it's taken on the players. You've won a lot of games here. What kind of toll is this season, or maybe this last weekend, taken on you?
This from day one, 10 years ago, it's taken a toll on me. It's a tough task in tall order, high expectations, and we're working hard to meet those expectations every day.
What's the toughest part of dealing with that, where there are kind of daily expectations to win and keep that high level?
I think just to win every game. It's not okay to lose. It isn't. That's all part of it. I don't think anybody expects to go 40-0 every season. But when you lose, you want to learn from it, bounce back, be better because it happened, and be the best team that you can. Losing is not fun for anybody. I'm no exception.
Do you get out in the community much? I'm curious what the fans' reaction to you and whenever they might encounter you. Are they understanding, given what you've gone through the last several months? Are they angry? What?
I don't know. I think that fans they're allowed to have their own reaction. I'm sure a lot of them are angry. I'm sure a number of them are upset. There's quite a few that are very, very supportive. That's the great part about being a fan. You can really be who you want to be.
Coach, both LA schools seem to run primarily a 2-3 zone all game. With the guards penetrating the way they did, how can that success carry over when Chase gets back?
Great question. One of the hardest parts to judge offensively, when things don't go well is it the execution? Was it the details? Was it just one player, two guys? Is it the group? Is it more of our front court players or more of our guards in terms of things that we need to really look at to improve? And then sometimes, you continue to look at what you do offensively and feel good about it, which is hard to believe because the numbers don't make any sense. But I thought in both games, USC and UCLA, the ball moved We dribble penetrated. We created good opportunities, whether they were in the middle, at the rim, from the three-point line. There are times when we beat the zone down the court, getting fouled, being able to get in the bonus and then go to the line and make those. There are a number of really good possessions. And so, I think that's one thing that I feel really good about. The second part of it is, as we moved the ball, dribble penetrated, played against 80 minutes of a zone like you had mentioned, our turnovers were outstanding. I mean, if you can go on the road in college basketball, play with 10 or fewer, be a single-digit team in 40 minutes, that's very, very good. There are a lot of teams that can't do that. And I think the fact that we were able to do that in L.A., that's one of the strengths of this year's team. We've done, for the most part, a really good job of taking care of the ball. I go back to the Oregon game. That was an outlier. Those 14 turnovers killed us. If we would have had that particular game, 8 turnovers, 9 turnovers for the game instead of 14, we might have won in one of the more uglier, hard-fought battles that we've had at McHale. But we weren't able to do that because our turnovers plagued us on that particular night. But our dribble penetration, our ball movement, being able to get the ball balanced. So, we're not just shooting threes. We're not just shooting twos, but we have good balance. I thought we really had that. And the second part of your question, when Chase does get back to us, I think it'll be seamless to put him in there. He has a very similar role that Ira and Ryan have, and he knows what to do. I think it'll give us a little bit more balance around the rim than maybe we currently have with him.
With everything you're saying, how does facing ASU feel this week? You guys have had good success against them, but they've been pretty tough.
ASU has a very good team. I thought they had a very good team a year ago as well, and it's different this year. They're deeper. They have more forwards, more length on the court. I think Dort, who's their leading scorer, is one of the best freshmen in our conference, if not the country. He's physical and strong. He reminds me a lot of Raleigh Alkins, the way he's built. And I think for such a young player, he's got a great confidence about him that can permeate through their roster. Remy Martin gained valuable experience, was a very good freshman on their team last year, and he's picked right up where he's left off. Like Dort, he has a lot of confidence and adds a lot to their team. Playmaking, steals, scores, loves to take big shots. And Zylan Cheatham's been maybe the best addition to maybe any team in our conference. I mean, when you get 20 rebounds or more in a game, that's crazy. That's to his credit. And the fact that he's averaging over 10 rebounds a game on the season, I think speaks to his talent. And, again, he plays with a big motor. Again, another guy that I think has a lot of confidence. And ASU has a good team, and I feel like they're playing maybe their best overall basketball, certainly of the Pac-12 season. And I can't say enough good things about Bobby Hurley. Just watching how he's invigorated the fan base and what it feels like to play a home game in Wells Fargo Arena versus maybe how it used to. It's night and day, and that's to his credit. Again, they had an outstanding non-conference season, which not only helps themselves, but it helps our conference. And we know that we have our hands full, very similar to going to SC or to UCLA. They have depth, they have talent, and they're playing a home game. So I think that those coveted home games are important for all of us, and no doubt they recognize that.
Do you think there'd be more of a sense of desperation or urgency on both sides, maybe with you guys coming off that weekend and they haven't beat you for a few years now?
I can't speak to that. We have to be ready to play, and that's our chance to be the best we can be, the best version of the team that we have, to have a number of really good days leading up to the game and be at our best. Other than that, that's sometimes last year's made a little bit too much. I mean, I think you mentioned we lost our top 5, really lost our top 7. And so there's 7 guys that played in last year's game that aren't here on our team. So it's a brand new season, it's a brand new team, brand new game. And sometimes what happened, a year ago is overblown.
You talked about the job Bobby did. How difficult is it to rebuild a program that before he got there had not been really consistently good for 25 years? I think 3 tournament bids in 20 years, no tradition. How difficult is that, and does that really speak to the job he's done so far?
Yeah, he's done an outstanding job, really, from the day that he's gotten there. You know, his non-conference scheduling, I think, says a lot about him. You know, it's not easy to play games away from home and on those neutral courts and get involved in these home and away series with, you know, powerhouses like Kansas, and I know he's played Kentucky. And, you know, what it's done is it's given him the opportunity to win and grow and build his program. And then, you know, I think they play an exciting style of basketball as well. And, you know, it's, I think, a job well done. You know, that doesn't mean that we don't like to beat Arizona State. I mean, I know a rivalry when I see one. But, you know, Bobby was a teammate of mine a billion years ago on a Team USA. I've known him for a long, long time and, you know, respect his family a great deal. They kind of grew up the same way that me and my brother grew up. And he's done a good job. And, you know, I think it's all of our responsibility as coaches sometimes to make sure that we tip our hat to a guy who does a good job. Doesn't mean you don't want to win, but his work speaks for itself.
Go ahead.
Those 2 games last weekend, did you find that it mattered whether you had Dylan or Ira starting at that four there?
No. Yeah, we try to match up accordingly and maybe give ourselves the best chance for the best matchups possible. You know, I don't know. It's 6-1 one way, half a dozen the other. Sometimes it's like you know, splitting hair. I don't know if it's an easy call who to start, who not to.
So if Chase is out Thursday, you could go either way, or do you have a?
I think we could go either way. We're not really there yet. Still have a couple days left.
What has been Alex Barcelo's role lately? It seems like he's a little more visible on the court.
You know, Alex is one of our team's best shooters. Watching him shoot the ball every day, that's an easy statement for me to make. And, you know, for him to be able to carry that into a game is important for our team. And he's made a couple recently. I think defensively, like a lot of our guys, were really hard at work to make him more comfortable and to make sure that he's on assignment with a number of different players that he's guarding, so that, you know, a made 3 by him isn't traded off by his defense. But Alex is a tremendous worker, tireless, great teammate, does exactly what we want from him, and you're always going to get maximum effort from him.
When a team plays a zone against you, when do you determine when you want the big to flash to the high post versus the short corner to open penetration?
So we always want to fill those 2 areas as much as we can, you know, especially the middle. And, you know, there's a fine line between being able to throw the ball to whoever that is in the middle and getting something out of it. You know, sometimes it's a jump shot. You know, sometimes it's a drive. Sometimes it's, you know, pivoting and passing back out to the perimeter. And a lot of times that pass from inside to out, it creates an advantage for whoever receives the pass, because, you know, the thing about a zone is, you know, different people are assigned to areas. So, you know, unlike man-to-man, when a small's on a small or a guard's on a guard, you know, you can at times get a big man closing out on a guard. And we have to be able to take advantage of that. But being able to get the ball to the middle and then out creates that opportunity. You know, the second part of it is what you said, and that is, you know, being able to drive it in there, and that's equally good. You know, a drive in there, you can still dump the ball off to one of your bigs, and you can still create that same advantage where drive in, pass out. The recipient of the pass usually has a big man or a forward rotating, and now we have to drive it and take advantage of it. But a number of our best options, whether we made or missed a shot this past week, happened with that kind of inside-out movement. And then it's just up to us to take advantage of it, make the shot, create a good drive, and score the ball.
Are any of the shooting struggles, do they have to do with confidence with any of the players, or is it just a matter of getting the ball and penetrating the zone better and getting better looks?
No, you know, I think confidence is a big part of this, for sure. But, you know, there's, sometimes the shooting is, we're going to have a hot night. I don't know how great of a shooting team we have. We're a better shooting team than we've shown recently, but, at the end, where our numbers will be, we've had some overall better shooting teams than we had this year. Last year, among the many things you take for granted, as many great teams as Coach Olson had here at Arizona, and there are so many of them, there was only a handful that shot 50% or higher from the field for a season. It shows you how difficult it is to shoot 50% or better from the field as a team. And last year's team shot 50% or higher on the season. So, coming off a year ago, you forget how easy it was for Dusan to score, DeAndre to score, and we have a number of different guys on the perimeter, Alonzo, right? So I think going from that to this year, it really feels funny because that would have been the strength of last year's team, field goal percentage.
When you look at your team at this point, do you feel they're an NCAA tournament level team?
No.
Is there anything you can do quickly at least to get to that level, or is that something that's going to have to happen over the next 2 months?
I think what we have to do is we have to focus on being the very best team that we can be and then head into our conference tournament, very similar to a lot of the low major, mid-major leagues, and that is to play our best basketball in Vegas and to win 3 games in 3 days or 4 games in 4 days. And I think that, those 4 buys are big. And it doesn't mean that a team who plays on Wednesday, especially this season, can't win the championship. But I think the 3 games in 3 days gives you a better overall opportunity. And being healthy, we can't control that, but hopefully that'll be the place. And playing our best basketball, being as prepared as we can, as confident as we can, and making those 3 or 4 days a magical run. I would think that every team in our conference, maybe minus 1 or 2, maybe not, would have to think the same way that I'm thinking. That's being realistic.
Is that strange for you to maybe have to rely on the conference tournament after so many years of not having to?
Yes, for sure. When I first got here, which is a long, long time ago, 10 years ago, I didn't think we had a chance, in that first year to make it. And if you really go back through those games, we really rallied to be 16 and 15. We really did. We had 3 or 4 end of the game buzzer shots, just unreal single possession games that bounced our way because we could have easily been, I think, 13 and 17 instead of 16 and 15, something like that. Then our second year kind of replaced year 3. In a way, they flip-flopped. In year 2, we got to the Elite 8, and we lost Derek Williams. And year 3 was kind of a continuation of our rebuilding efforts. Then we obviously hit stride, and this year, it is what it is. But, I think that not being in the neighborhood of make-believe and understanding who we are, where we're at, is very important. And for us, it's so much about improving and being as ready as we can be for Arizona State. Things that have happened in the past, that's the past. We have to live in 2018-19.
One more for Coach. All right, thank you, everybody.